Hello, everyone. Hope you can hear me. And I hope you have been having a good day, fun so far. So, firstly, I hope that everyone is safe and sound back home. The recent floods have been devastating. We are all praying for those affected by this disaster. Let's hope that we come out of this stronger than before. And I'm sure we will. We have always shown resiliency and emerged stronger than ever before whenever we are under any such circumstances. So let us start with the presentation today. Firstly, an important question. What is it that draws the attention of the users towards a mobile application? Well, different people have different opinions on this. While some may prefer to a more feature loaded mobile application, others might give preference to exclusively designed user interface and user experience. If you ask me, I would say it is not even a choice. Both are equally important to me. A good looking application with missing features is as useless as a feature loaded app which might be visually difficult to understand or work with. So, in this session, we will specifically talk about UI and UX bits only. And I'm assuming that you have already have or will implement all the required functional features in your apps. Let me start with a pop quiz. So I'm going to show you two different options for a to-do application. Both of them do exactly the same thing. The only difference or the only thing that differs is the user interface design. Which one would you choose? And please remember, there is no right or wrong answer over here. And I will explain that why it is not right or wrong later. So let me show you the option one. So this is option one. It's a good looking application. You see list of all your to-do items on the screen. You can even click on add a new item, clicking on the plus sign at the bottom, and you are taken to a next screen where you can fill in the details. This is one option. Now let's have a look at this second option. It is not using as vibrant colors as we saw earlier. Uh, the user interface is slightly different, more or less same thing. So which one would you choose? Now, I'm assuming that majority would have gone with option two over here. At least I would have gone with option two. Why? Because it looks cleaner, simpler, good use of colors, fonts, icons, presentation styles, simpler data entry process. For me, a lot of good things going around. This is what we mean by user interface. This was the user interface part mostly. User experience, on the other hand, is a whole different animal altogether. Let me show you another example. So what you see over here right now on the screen is another example, in fact, a very simple example of a BMI calculator, what we call body mass index. It is beautifully designed, good use of colors, gets the job done perfectly. It asks you to select your gender, type in your weight, your height, and based on that, it will calculate your BMI and show it to you on the screen along with the category, whether you are underweight, overweight, obese, etc. You can even see the categories in details if you want by clicking on the information icon at the top. On the second screen, you see that icon. You click on it, it will take you or show you a third page with the breakdown. Now, this is one way. So far, it's UI wise, it looks very nice. Now, let me show you the same application in another way. Now, this application I built using .NET MAUI a couple of months ago, and it is available as open source on my GitHub page. I will link to all the demos, by the way, that I showed today, or at least most of them towards the end of this presentation. So let me bring in this presentation and this application and show it to you. So this is the BMI calculator app that I have created. Let me launch this application. So So the application launches. It is asking you to choose your gender. I can choose between male or female, whichever I like. Let's say go with the female. Click on the next. Now it is asking me to select my weight and height. Let us say I am roughly say 180 centimeters, and maybe I am, okay, let me put 110 kilograms. You notice as and when I am selecting or changing my weight or my height, the representation over here visually changes. Now, if I click on next, it shows me that your BMI is 32.5 in this case, and I am obese because I belong to this category, and obese is anywhere from 30 to 39 range. So what do you say? Which one do you think will delight the users more? The typing experience that you saw in the screenshot that I showed, or playing with the height and weight visually and getting instant feedback? So this is one example. Here is another example. Let me show you. Let me go back to the home. It is again another application that I have built. It is a scientific calculator. Again, the combination of user interface and user experience, at least to me, makes this app look more visually appealing. So maybe I want to do some simple calculations such as 6 plus 9 divided by 3 multiplied by cosine of, I don't know, 90, and enter, and you see the results over here. This application is also available on my GitHub page. So let's move on and let's get into this. So what is the agenda today? We will look into the difference between user interface, or UI as we simply call it, and user experience, UX part. These are two very important and complementing things. I say complementing and not dependent, though you can achieve each of them individually without depending on the other. More often than always, they go hand in hand. And most importantly, the important thing for us is how can .NET MAUI help us in making our apps good looking and provide the best user experience to our users. The objective is to delight the users as much as possible. And I emphasize on delighting your users. If they like your application design, assuming that the functionality is already there, they will keep coming back again and again to your app. If your app either does not look nice or it is difficult to use, most probably and most likely they will delete the app after the very first use. So it is extremely important to keep our users delighted. So enough with the babbling. I have been talking for the past few minutes and I have not even introduced myself to you. My name is Naweed Akram. I am a solution architect by the day. I work in a leading asset management firm. In my spare time, I play with .NET a lot. I am a hobbyist developer. I evangelize Microsoft development platforms and tools. I build mobile applications and contribute to open source communities. I have been building modern applications for almost past 10 years now, going all the way back to Windows Mobile days. I have around 6-7 years of practical and extensive experience working with Xamarin Forms. And now I'm actively spending my time on .NET MAUI for past 10-12 months. You can reach out to me on any of the channels that I have listed here. I'll be happy to connect with you and help you as much as possible. So let's jump right into this. The very first thing I want to ask, what is beauty? I told you in the very beginning that when we were choosing between options 1 and 2, that results did not matter and there was no right or wrong answer. That is because beauty is subjective. Look at the definition of beauty from Oxford. Everyone interprets beauty differently, or in fact, anything for that matter, differently. Example, you may like a particular color very much, maybe yellow, but your friends or even your wife or your husband may hate it altogether. Or it may be that two people like yellow color, say on paintings, both of them like it, but one likes to wear yellow shirts and other hates it when it comes to choosing yellow in clothes. I'm talking mostly about men over here. I know of women, they like to wear yellow clothes, so it's mostly yellow color on men. The reason I'm bringing this is because my interpretation of beauty or choice of user interface, user experience might be very different than yours. I am no designer, but I assure you that I have looked at other sources enough, and I will talk about those very shortly. And everything that I'm going to talk about today is going to be based on some common standards and practices and industry trends. So let us start with the user interface first. What is UI? UI design, also known as user interface design, refers to the aesthetic design of all visual elements of a digital product. The product is your application, your website, can be anything. And we are talking specifically about user interface of that product, namely the product's presentation and interactivity. In simple words, what the user sees, actually sees when they interact with the product, from color schemes to typographies to input controls to navigation components, UI design is what defines the product's look and feel. UI design involves anticipating the user's preferences and creating an interface that both understands and fulfills them. User interface design, on the other hand, is the process of enhancing the user satisfaction by improving the usability and accessibility of your apps. UX design is all about how the experience makes the user feel, how easy it is for the users to accomplish their desired tasks. UX design is not about visuals only, it is about the process mostly. As an example, how easy is it to check out uh, in your mobile application, shopping online while in your app? How simple and intuitive it is to calculate your BMI. Remember the example that I showed you a while ago? So that is the user interface part. It is important to understand that UX and UI go hand in hand always. You cannot have one without the other. I will not go into more details of this. This is just one quote from Rahul. He's the creator of Foster FM, and he sums it up really well. He says user experience and user interface are some of the most confused and misused terms. A UI without a UX is like a painter slapping paint onto a canvas without thought, while UX without UI is like the frame of sculpture with no paper mache on it. So let us see some different ways, and by the way, very, very small, tiny things, by the way, which we can implement in our .NET MAUI apps to make this whole user experience very delightful for our users. And that is why you are here for this talk today. The first thing I would like to say is always look for inspirations. Look at the work of other great designers. This gives you insights into how the industry trends are moving. There are a lot of great sites where you can find inspirations from. Behance, Dribble, Uplabs. These are three of the best collections out there, and these are the ones which I regularly look into. Let me try to show you how it looks like on one of these sites. Let me bring it up on the screen. So here I have got Dribble, and what I have done, I have filtered specifically for mobile only. And here you can see lot of good designs. This is an example of a control mobile application. This is an example of a university's aggregator. This is an example of a delivery app. Let me just click over here. Now here, what you will usually see most of the times, you will see both a good user interface, as you can see, as well as user experience. So there is a nice animation which is running where they are showing you how or what happens when users interact with your applications. When you're talking about icons, Icons 8 is another great resource that you can look into. In fact, I would highly recommend that you look at or look for some examples from these sites and try to implement these using .NET MAUI yourself. This is what I have done in most of my cases, and I often do that, very frequently. There is nothing better than practicing. As they say, practice makes perfect. Pick up a design, try to implement it in .NET MAUI based on some of the things that we will see today, and you can have a good looking and an application with great user experience at hand. There is, by the way, a user interface challenge going on from Microsoft team. Perhaps you might be interested in contributing to it. Build something and share it for the community to see. Let's talk about the styles. It's all about the styles. Always start with defining the brand for your application and stay consistent with it throughout. Your brand is made up of different elements, the color schemes, the iconography, the margins, the fonts. All these little things contribute to your brand design. And app.xaml is the best place to define your brand in your .NET MAUI applications. Let me pick up one project and show it to you. Yeah, let me bring in the Visual Studio. This is an application which I have built. And here you can see in my app.xaml, I have defined everything in this app itself. So I have got my color schemes. I have got my page styles, my grid styles, content view styles, everything I have here. Define all your colors and your styles in this one place. I have defined different colors for different purposes. I have one color for page background, which I'm using to define a common style for my pages. And I'm saying that all my pages should use this particular background color. I have different colors for buttons. I have different colors for borders. I have colors for light text. I have colors for dark text. By defining all these styles in one page, I will ensure that all my pages will look exactly the same based on these definitions. For example, all my pages will have the same background color. I have even gone to the extent and defined the styles for my grids and collection views. You can see over here. For my grids, I'm saying I always want to use zero padding, zero margin, zero row spacing, zero column spacing. I want to vertically and horizontally fill this grid, and I want to have a transparent color as background. Similarly, for my grid, one of the things to improve performance, I'm saying that for all my collection views, I want to make sure that my item sizing strategy is always set to measure the first item so that it does not go about evaluating the size of each cell in the collection view, which is performance heavy. This makes it easier for me to use it in the pages. I don't have to go and specify the layout options, or in this case, item sizing strategy for my collection views everywhere. Another important thing is when you are doing, I like to hide the vertical and horizontal scroll bar visibility in the collection view. When I'm scrolling up or down or left or right, I don't want to see those horizontal or the vertical scroll bars appear on the mobile. This is counterintuitive to how we use the mobiles. So I'm setting it in one place. For the font selection, let me show you first of all the font selection. So in this particular case, I have gone with one font family and three different weights: medium, semi-bold, and bold. I recommend that you do not go for more than two different font families in one application. Usually one family works best. For example, in this case, it is Montserrat. I would not recommend mixing Montserrat with, let's say, another serif font or another funky font. But if it is really needed for your application, you can have, say, two different font families as well, but at the most. And also for each of the family, try to stick to 2-3 weights only. As in is the example in this case, I'm sticking to the regular, medium, and bold weights. Don't have too many weights, such as light, regular, semi bold, bold, extra bold. Try to keep things simple. And also define fixed styles for your labels or your display elements upfront in your app.xml file and stick to that. Let me go back over here. If I go down, by the way, I have even defined uh, uh, styles for my icons, which are the image buttons or my button styles. And for the labels, I have defined very few font styles or label styles, and these are the ones that I am using. For example, you may have decided that you want to only use font size 12, 14, and 16 for your labels. Create these labels upfront as styles in your app.xaml and use these styles in your applications. Don't override these basic properties, and always give meaningful names to these styles so that you can reference to them in your applications. So this is what I was talking about. Define your brand, your color schemes, your iconography, and your font selections. Now, the next thing, which is not exactly a style element, but I would recommend that you use grid layout over either stack or absolute layouts. You can mix and match grid layout with scroll view layout whenever needed. Grid layout works best for 95% plus of the cases. Its flexibility in breaking the layout as cells is what makes it most powerful in my view. You can make almost any user interface by playing with rows and columns in the grid layout. And remember, you need to stay consistent throughout your application. Unless there is an absolute need, do not mix or change fonts, colors, or any other styles between your pages. Sorry, I think I made a mistake. I was not showing my slides. Let me minimize this. So let me give you or tell you about my experience. I have built enough applications over the years. The biggest challenge I face is to keep the user interface consistent across pages. Some of my applications have over 15 pages. I am not a huge fan of using shell, and in fact, I never use it in my own applications. I always hide the navigation bar and replace it or implement my own version of navigation bar for pixel perfect results. This opens up the challenge to do this again and again across all the pages. This is mostly donkey work. And question is, can this be avoided? When I used to work with ASP.NET or MVC some 10 years ago, there was this beautiful concept of master pages. I have left web programming for little over 10 years now. I'm sure that they still have it, and in fact, they must have even improved upon it over the years. Basically, the concept is pretty simple. You design a master page, which is your outside shell, and then you just inherit all your pages from this master page. And boom, you have a consistent user interface across your application or applications. I was fascinated by this concept and thought, why can't we do this in .NET MAUI? After some R&D, I was able to achieve this. I will show it to you. It is extremely simple. Just spend a few minutes upfront and you are done. You can add as many pages to your applications which are deriving from this master page, and you will get consistent user interface and navigation functionality. So let me show you again an example of how I'm doing it in my application, another application. So let me pick it up, bring up on the screen. I have a lot of applications to show, so please bear with me. I have to choose the right one. So here is an application that I have built recently. Sorry, just 1 minute. Yeah. If I go to my views, and I'll show you, I have defined a page base. It's a simple content page which I have designed. And here I have put in certain design or certain layout. So I have defined 3 rows for this, one for the top status bar, one for my navigation, my custom navigation view, and then lastly for the content. And here I'm using some other common controls which I will show you later on. But leaving those aside, the most important thing is I'm just putting this placeholder, calling it page content grid. This is where any page that derives from this particular page that I'm defining here, the content will go over here. And for the header, the middle part, this second row where I wanted to build my own navigation, I have built it again custom. I have created a grid with 3 columns. The one on the extreme left is going to hold my buttons. At the moment, I'm putting 3 different type of buttons. I can either have a hamburger menu, I can have a back button, or I can have a close icon. Now they are different. Maybe when you are on the dashboard screen, you want to show that hamburger icon, which when pressed will open up the menu and allow you to, dig deep into the application. Or when you click on any particular, link or a page or a image in your application, it takes you to another page. That is where the navigation happens, and you have the ability to go back. Sometimes you want to have the ability to open model pages which you want to close with a close button. So this is what it allows you to do. And I have also put in a page header or a label where from my view models or on every page, I can define how the page header looks like. I will show this to you in action in a moment. And then I also have a common place where I can inject page specific icons in each of my pages. So let me show you this specific application in action. So let me go and run this Tube Player application. This is another open source application that I have built. So here you can see this is a common style I have given. So all my pages are going to look and feel the same. So they all have this light gray background. And this was the header I was talking about. So I can put whatever text I want in any of the pages, and it will always appear in the same place with the same font. And this was the page specific icon, and this was the hamburger menu. Now, if I go into any specific video, as in this example, I'm going to navigate to a second page, and you see the same look and feel is there. Instead of the hamburger menu, now I have a back icon. Another example that I can show you just for reference, take this example of, Vocabulary. This is another application which I have built using .NET MAUI. So here we have the hamburger menu, which when I click, it will show me the menu. If I click on play, since it is the first run, it is showing me the game rules. This is where the model pop-up or the model navigation happens. I can click on it and I can close. And then this is the actual page where I can navigate back. So the next thing to consider once you have defined your brand is, or in fact, it's a very good practice to have a proper onboarding mechanism in your applications. Unless your application is that simple, it is always best to create a walkthrough with some animation, preferably, and walk your users through the application functionalities. For example, show them how they can swipe right on an item to delete it, or swipe left on an item to add it to their favorites, or drag and drop items into the shopping cart, or go to the menu on the top left to update their profile picture, etc., etc. You know your application better. I have this complaint from my users forever. I am a very lazy person. If you stick around for the afternoon session with me, I will talk about sustainability, and this is one of the challenges that we have. We usually don't focus much on these little things upfront, which, by the way, can improve the overall user experience a lot. If your application is complicated and you don't provide onboarding process, users will get lost, and most likely, very immediately, they will uninstall your application. Anyways, I was telling you about how lazy I am. I never implement this onboarding functionality in my applications, or at least never did till 6, 7 months ago. And I would constantly get this complaint or emails from my users asking how they can take backup of the data, or how they can remove a show from the watch list. And I was like, duh, this is straightforward thing, guys. Go to the menu on the top and you will find this feature over there, or go to this particular screen and here is the option. That is actually me being very naive. I designed my application. I know what is where because I have put it there, but my users do not know it. So onboarding, I believe, is a pretty must for every application, unless it is absolutely simple application. And it is also very, very easy to do it using .NET MAUI. Let me show you an example. So let me again load it up. I need to find the right one. Yeah, here it is. So it is failing to maximize, that's fine. Let me show you the running application first. Let me run this. So for this particular demo, I am taking this beautiful app UI mockup called Medicine Tracker by someone named Thavish. I will link to this application at the end of the presentation. He has done a nice implementation of an onboarding screen. Basically, he has implemented it as a simple carousel view, wherein he has 3 or 4 different screens. It's very simple, and he's even showing indicator view to show you how many items are there and which particular screen you are on, and then you have an ability to move next. Let's see if this loads up. Yeah, here you go. So the application has come up. So you see over here, it's a simple screen. It shows you the first screen, and now it's going to the second. Automatically it is scrolling. If you want, you can scroll it yourself on demand. For the purpose of this demo, he has put in the same text, the same image everywhere. Of course, you can you will change the text and the images based on your applications. And once you have gone through them, you can simply click on move next, and then it will take you to the home screen. It is as simple as that. Now, I will link to this application, but one of the things that he did not implement is, or did not handle, is that we only need to show this application the first time we launch or we run our application. Currently, if you run this application, what will happen is every time it will show you the onboarding screen, and you have to click on the next icon to come to this home page. And by the way, this is also very, very simple to fix. So one is using that carousel view, the one I'm showing you as part of this example. And the other is just by writing 1 or 2 lines of code, you can check if your application is being used for the first time or not. And depending on that, you can decide to show either the onboarding screen or the dashboard or the home screen. So how you can do this in your app.xaml. Let me go over here. Currently, if you look at his default basic implementation, this is all that he has done. This one line. All he's saying is that always whenever an application launches, take it to the onboarding page. I just implemented the version tracking, which is again built in as part of .NET MAUI. Earlier, it used to be part of Xamarin Essentials, but now, as Jarrell told you, it has been baked right into .NET MAUI. So I'm just saying that I want to track different versions of the applications, and I'm checking that if it is first launch ever for this application, then show the onboarding screen. Otherwise, show the home screen. As simple as that. With this implemented, let me actually go and close this application and go back to this application again, run this. This time around, it will take me to the home page. It does not take me to the onboarding screen. But if I uninstall this application and I run it first time again, I deploy it, it will again show me the home page. Sorry, the onboarding screen. All right, so let's move on. Let's talk about something very important, which is visual indicators. Almost every application relies on data coming from one source or the other on the internet. Or there might be some very complex processing happening within your application. And this data load process or the data processing that you are doing takes some time. It takes a while. Data load depends on many things. It depends on the internet speed of your device, the size of data being downloaded, the load on the server from where the data is coming from. There are different factors which can affect this data load time. Many developers I have seen actually do not bother to show or indicate to the users that there is something going on in the application at the moment and it will take a while. They have to tell them that don't worry, guys, this is normal. We are doing something, sit back and relax. Instead, what mostly developers do, they leave it to the users or they leave their users thinking, what is happening in the application? I have pressed a button and it opened up a new blank page for me. There is nothing happening. Or maybe I just typed in a search term and pressed the search button and nothing is happening. They get the impression that your application is frozen, or worse, they will think it is broken. And of course, eventually the data will come or the processing will complete and you will display the correct information on the screen. But this is not the experience that you want to provide to your users. You need to provide them with some visual indicators that something is happening and they need to wait for it. Another example is in case of an error which happens in your application. Some of the applications I have seen, basically, they just show a blank screen altogether. Okay? Whenever something goes wrong, a blank screen. Some even show the default alert which pops up on the phone with large text which is returned by your exception, the actual exception handling error. This is all very cryptic text, guys, for the end users. They don't understand the ABC of this language. Or maybe the internet connection was down at the moment. Just showing a blank page is not going to help. In fact, it would be better if you can show a human-friendly error screen with some nice images. These images can be internet connectivity image whenever there is no internet connection available, or an empty basket if the shopping cart is empty, or some other nice error image for generic error processing. And these images, you need to accompany them with some text that users can easily understand. Let's see how it is done in .NET MAUI. I'm going to go to the same application over here, the two-player application that I was showing. Let me launch this application. Let me go and search for some videos. I'm going to go and search for our good friend Gerald. You saw it in the morning. He has a YouTube channel where he's posting a lot of good Maui related videos. So I'm going to go and I'm going to search for Maui videos. Now, when I press return, you see over here, there was a visual indicator at least showing that please hold on, we are loading videos for you, or we are searching for videos. So they do not have to wait. If I click on any specific video, this is the recent video which he posted a couple of days ago. Let me click on this video. And you see again, there is something which is showing you, hold on while we load the video details. Because in the background, I am using YouTube APIs to fetch a lot of video details and the video stream for this video. It takes a while. If I was not showing anything and instead just shown a blank screen, imagine what would have happened. Let me show you another thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here, and how do I no how do I switch off internet? Okay, it is not showing me, it's not allowing me to switch off the internet. But if there was no internet connectivity, it would have shown me another nice image with some text saying, sorry, your internet connection is down. In fact, if I recall correctly, the exact message is, it shows you, that internet broken, internet signal error, that image. And then below that, it says, oh, uh, your internet might be too slow or you might not be connected. Please check your internet connection and try again later. As simple as that. And most importantly, by the way, it is always good to create all these common indicators as common reusable controls so that you can reuse them again and again. So let me show you how I have done it in the context of this application. Let me again find this application. Yeah, I have so many applications open, which I wanted to show you. So here, what I have done, I think, by the way, one of the things that I forgot to show you when I was explaining to you about this base page is how we actually use it. So if you go to the start page or the video details page that I have created, what I am doing now, I'm just deriving it from this new base page that I have created, and then I'm setting the content inside. Everything else is taken care of automatically for me. I'm just passing in the page title for every page, and it is displayed. And here, using the page mode, I am specifying whether I want to show the back button or whether I want to show, let me show you, say there is a model option, or there is a hamburger, sorry, a menu option which will show the hamburger option, or there is a none option which will not show any icon at all. So this is one. So let's go back, and this is where I have created these as some common controls over here. So this is the loading indicator that I've created. It's a simple XAML control that I've created, which is deriving from your vertical stack layout. I have put in some padding. By default, I'm setting it to invisible, putting some space in between. And all I have is just one activity indicator and a label control. Now, what is the text that needs to be shown in this label control is controlled by your application. Let me show you the code behind. Very simple. All I have created is a couple of bindable properties, is busy and loading text. So the moment I set is busy to true on this control, it will automatically go and start showing the indicator, loading indicator for me, activity indicator. And the moment I say is busy is false, it will stop showing that. And in fact, it will also make the whole control invisible as well. It's as simple as that. And then in my base page, you can, by the way, go and use this anywhere you like. But since I'm building a master page, I have actually gone ahead and I have put this loading indicator over here. So I just created this loading indicator. I'm putting it in one place. Now all my pages have this loading indicator and this error indicator. And the error indicators control is again something very simple. It is just an image which is going to come from my application, and this is the header I'm displaying, and the actual text that will be displayed. Let me show you in action how it needs to be done. Let's go to a particular view model. Let's take this particular view model, and this is what I'm doing. In case if there is an internet connection happens, I'm just setting is error state to true. This will automatically, let me go back and show you in the code behind, there is this is error state. It will automatically go and show you this error control. Otherwise, it will be hidden. And I'm saying it is true. And the error message to display is loading, slow or no internet connection. Please check your internet connection and try again later. Or if it was a generic error, I'm saying something went wrong. If the problem persists, please contact me at the support contact email address, and so on. And I'm also specifying what image to display. It is as simple. Now, another important thing that you need to consider when you have large data sets, you don't want your users waiting for a long time. Of course, you are showing a loading progress bar with some nice text, the one I showed you, but consider in the case that I was showing you for the YouTube, where you have a lot of videos coming in. Let me go back to the application again. let's go back over here and so, yeah, so I search for Gerald. Maybe there are lots of videos available, maybe hundreds of them or even thousands of them. Maybe you go and search for Rubik's Cube. It's literally going to serve up 10,000 plus videos on Rubik's Cube topic. So I know you are showing that nice indicator, but you don't want to show that indicator for a very long time. Okay. So imagine if I get all this data upfront. First of all, I'm taking a long time, and secondly, I'm showing all these videos on the screen at the same time. Let's say 1,000 videos. This showing of everything on the screen is going to be extremely resource hogging. So what can we do? There is a technique which we can use called incremental loading, or some call it infinite scrolling as well. So what is this incremental loading? So the concept is very simple. You start with a limited set of data, which can be extracted very quickly, and your user can start using the application or the screen immediately. If he cannot find what he's looking for, and he scrolls to the end, and that is the time when you go and you fetch the next set of, again, small data, and you keep on repeating this process. This, in my view, provides the best user experience for the end users, and it is very, very easy to do so as well. There are just a couple of properties on the collection view that we can use to implement this, and I will show that to you in a while. So let me show you. In this case, when I search for Gerald Maui, there might be hundreds of videos. In fact, there are hundreds of videos on his YouTube channel, but it is not bringing in all the videos. I'm only bringing in 10 videos. And then you see, the moment I go to the last video, I saw a loading indicator, and now it goes and it is bringing the next 10 videos on this topic. If I keep on scrolling, again, 10 videos come up, and here you go. Again, it is going, fetching the next 10 videos, and so on. So this is what you can do in your applications as well. Always use caching. So let me go back and show that again, how it is done over here. So it is very, very simple to do. In my start page, let me go to my start page and show it to you. So here I have a collection view, which is binding to the YouTube videos. But the videos I'm getting is always 10 videos at a time. And then I have implemented a couple of properties over here. I'm saying that my remaining items threshold is 1, which means when I'm scrolling and the moment I reach the last video, immediately fire this command, which is remaining items threshold reached command, which is going to call this load more videos command. And what this load more videos command is going to do, it is going to go and fetch the, where is my load more videos? 1 minute. Sorry, I'm at the wrong page. Load more videos. So here I'm checking if I'm not already loading, and if there is more data available, then simply go and get more videos. Now, just to demonstrate, in my case, getting the next 10 videos was very quick. So that loading indicator will come and disappear quickly. So that is the reason I was putting in a delay of 2 seconds so that you can see that loading indicator for some time. This was only for demo purposes. So it is as simple as that. And if you go and check the API, which I'm calling, let me show you the YouTube service. I'm always getting search for videos. I'm always getting maximum of 10 results. So that's how you can improve the experience for your users. Now, also consider data caching in your applications. There is some data which does not change very frequently. Why do you need to query the server every time for this data? Take an example of a restaurant. The menu on a restaurant hardly changes. Let's say if I went today and ordered from McDonald's this morning using the Food Panda application, and now if I go back to the same application again in the evening to order from McDonald's again, what are the odds that McDonald's have changed their menu by the evening? They may very well do that. There is not knowing. You know your requirements better. But maybe in this particular case, let's say after discussing with them, we have an agreement with them that even if they decide to change their menus, they can only do so in the morning whenever they want. So maybe McDonald's, every 6 months they want to introduce a new item, they will do it once or twice a year, and they will do that in the morning. So you know that at least you can cache the data in your application for next 8 hours. And if you go to this restaurant again within the 8 hours, you immediately show the restaurant page with menu loaded. No waiting for the user. I will also be talking about implementing this functionality later in the later session today. So please stick around for that if you're interested. Meanwhile, let me show you the practical example of this in our application. Let me go back over here, and you can see I search for Gerald. Now I'm going to go and I'm going to maybe search for iPhone this time. Okay, I'm going to search for iPhone. It is going to take a while to search for iPhone, and you saw the loading indicator and iPhone videos came up. What if I go back after some time? I again want to go and search for Gerald Maui, the same text. Right? Let me search. You see, this time around, it did not even spin and immediately showed me the data. And if I keep on scrolling, by the way, you will see, even though this 2 seconds delay I've hard coded, otherwise you will not even see this. Immediately the next videos will come in because that data has been cached. I have decided to cache the video searches for 4 hours because I think, or maybe it is after discussion with the users of the application, that what are the odds that new videos would be springing up every few minutes on a particular topic. This is the decision that you have to make. So let's move on. Now, another important couple of UI design elements or patterns which are available to you are pop-ups and bottom sheets. Very often they are neglected and are not used enough in the applications. Pop-ups are a great way to show visually appealing information to the users. Let me show you with an example. Let's go back to this, and I'm going to go to my vocabulary application. Let me start playing this game. This is the game I built, which is based out on Wordle concept. So I'm going to play the game. I do not know what this word is, so I'm just going to try and guess something. Forget about the animation right now. I'll be showing you how to do this animation a bit later. So this is not the one. Let me just put in something quickly to show you what I'm talking about. The objective is not to win the game. So I'm just going to exhaust all my tries with the same wrong word. And you see, this is what comes up. So I'm showing in a very nice way. Whenever a user wins or loses, I'm showing this nice pop-up indicating to the user that he has won or lost. So this is the icon I'm using. If he had won, I would be showing a trophy. Similarly, all the stars are not filled. They are not filled with golden color. Depending on how many tries out of 6 the user took, I'll be showing that many number of stars filled. And I'm showing some more information. So I'm telling them, okay, you lost. The correct word was octal, and this is what this word means. And oh, hey, by the way, do you want to share this word with your friends so that they can also benefit? So this is some information that I'm showing, or maybe it might be any particular action has been completed and I want to show them or notify them about something. I cannot think of any other good way to show such the information on the screen. Of course, you can use an alert to show this, but trust me, that is not going to look nice. Showing something on your face, hey, you won, text, okay, got it, close button, not the best way to provide feedback to the user. There is no UI or UX over there. Another, let me close this and I'll show you something as well. Another overlooked component is a bottom sheet control. Let me load up the bottom sheet control. I believe this is the one, yeah. I find this control to be very useful to to show additional information which is used very infrequently, and only show it if the user really wants to see that information. You can also show this in a separate tab or navigate to a new page if required, but that, in my opinion, is not always very convenient to the user. He or she will lose context of the page. For example, you may want to show some information if the user clicks on the information icon on the page. Remember the BMI example, the not my application, the other example I was showing you, that there is this information icon, you click on it, it is going to take you to a new page where it will show you all the categories with the numbering scheme for that. You lose context and you have to navigate back and forth. It ideally would have been better if this information can be shown in the form of a bottom sheet. You can also use it to collect data from the users in the context of your screen or the context of the field that the user is on. For example, a typical example is picker control on iPhones, or date picker control on the iPhone again, which shows you the bottom sheet to collect the data. Let me show you an example of what I mean by that. So let me click on this as an example. So this is what happens. You see your background page remains in context, but it becomes grayed out or dull, and you have this information that you are showing. Maybe use different color scheme. Perhaps you want to get some information from the users. Maybe I am asking them to choose a movie and they are saying, okay, I like this Dark Knight movie. So we can tell them, fine, you have selected Dark Knight, we can do whatever. And this is what I meant by the alert. Rather than showing that win or loss information for a vocabulary app like this, imagine what kind of feedback you will be getting from your users. So let me show you in the context of the real example, a real application. So let's go back to, okay, this video from Gerald. And I'm also using bottom sheet to show comments. Now, majority of the times, I don't know about you, but at least when I'm watching videos, majority of the time, I don't read comments. Sometimes I do. If there is something which I'm interested in, I will go and read the comments, but very infrequently. So why show it either as a tab or show it in a separate page? Instead, what if we do like this? We just press on these comments and something pops up and it tells you that this video has 24 comments and these are the comments. When you're done, you close this. This is one example of doing this in your application. Now, this particular bottom sheet I have built as a reusable control. Again, I will link to this GitHub repo at the end. And there is also a related blog post. You can play with it. You can read about the implementation or the design decisions that I made in the blog post, and you can do it at your convenience. Now let's talk about another important thing, custom controls. I think I know that I'm running out of time, so I'll need to jump very quickly. I will not go through everything. Just to tell you that there are different ways you can implement custom controls. Not everything is available out of the box in .NET MAUI, or in fact, in any other framework as well. Even if you are using Kotlin or Swift UI or any of the native technologies, you mostly have to rely on third-party controls for some complex functionality. But not everything is as complex. Some things can be achieved very easily. Let me again show you, sorry, let me go back. Let me show you again with an example of what I mean. If I go back to this page, you see I have implemented a custom control for or a custom search bar. There is already a search bar available in .NET MAUI, and if you are used to Xamarin Forms or if you have played with search bar in .NET MAUI, you would know it is not very convenient or easy to customize the look and feel. All I did over here is I created a custom control where I'm using the border, and inside I put in an entry field and I put in an icon, and I have styled it the way I want so that this looks much nicer. Again, this particular application, I'll be linking it at the end, and there is a full series I have made building this whole YouTube application and all the design decisions and I'm doing it step by step. So if you are interested, you can go and check it out. Now, another example is to create more complex controls, which are not XAML based controls, is using Skia Sharp or MAUI graphics. So let me show you the BMI calculator. So this is what we were looking at. And you remember that height and weight control, this one, which the moment I scroll up or down, the color changes, the fill changes, it shows me the text. Here it is showing me centimeters, here it is showing me kilograms. This is something which I've built using Skia Sharp. Trust me, it is very little code that you write once and you get this great user experience. Another way to build controls is using MAUI graphics. This is an experimental library which has been introduced along with .NET MAUI itself. Some of the bits of MAUI graphics have been incorporated in .NET MAUI itself, and some are still experimental. So this is a rating control which I have built. So in many applications, you may want to show rating for a particular item. Let's say you want to rate this item or this video. So if it is 2.7, you can see it is going up to 2.7, and there are different styles. It is all customizable. Just a very small bit of code that I have written, and you can get all of this done. Now let's talk about another important thing, the animations. Let me not go to this yet. So the ultimate way to spice up your user interface and provide better user experience is by animating your content. Who likes content just appearing on the page in a flash? Very boring, right? Just by adding some simple effects or movements in your screens, it goes a long way with your users. Studies have shown that users respond to animated content better. Let me show you something which we will discuss shortly. And this is what I just went back. So let me try to transition. You see, doesn't this look better? The content was sliding in from the bottom, not too slowly, not too fast. And you tell me, would it look better if I had just shown this in a flash without any of this animation? Let me show you what I mean. I'm going to make this disappear first. Again, that too with some nice animation. So you see, it was nice. Now, if I have to show it, you notice I just clicked on it and it came in on my face. You get the idea. The same kind of animation, simple animations, can be applied in your apps to create effects as simple as this or more complicated, which I will be showing you some examples of in a minute. But let us start with the basics. So the screenshot that you're seeing right now, this is from Microsoft's official MAUI documentation page. You can read more about it over there. But for now, I want you to focus on 4 key properties and their associated methods. These are available on almost every visual element, be it page, label, image control, button control, or even custom controls. Playing with these 4 properties or combination of these, you can virtually create any animation effect. Of course, there is a concept of easing, which if I have time, I'll touch base on it. I have that planned out, but I think due to shortage of time, I'll skip that. So these 4 properties are opacity, which control how opaque or transparent the control looks; scale, which allows you to grow or shrink a control; rotation allows you to rotate any element any number of degrees you want; and translation, which allows you to move an element along X and Y axis. And you can use these properties in your XAML directly. And these are mostly static properties, but they are also associated with helper methods, which allow you to perform the same transformation, that is changing from one state to another. For example, fade to 0 with a time associated, which will allow you to change the opacity and it will show you an animation, basically giving you a fading effect. These are fade to, rotate to, scale to, and translate to. All these methods basically take 3 simple input parameters: the value that you want to transition to, the amount of time that you want the animation to run for, and the easing. Easing is basically a path that animations follow during this time span. I'm not going to go into details of easing. but you can read more about it on easings.net. It's a website where they are showing with an example. So rather than, so what we will do, if you are comfortable with the basics, I will show you some real world examples. Let me go back and let me start with, let me close all the applications just to show you some effects. If I go to Maui Planets application, just keep looking as the first page comes up. You see over here, the page came up not straightforward. It came up with some planets. First of all, the planets are located on different locations, different sizes, and they came up with different animation speeds at different times. This gives a much better experience to the users. And trust me, it is, I think I lost connectivity. Okay, I hope I'm back. And this makes it is very easy for, oh, it has gone over here. How I can do this? It is very, very easy to do this. Let me show you. If I go to the start page, there is this very simple piece of code that I have written. Just this piece of code. And I apologize, I'm not sharing it on the screen here. So just this very simple piece of code where I'm setting or changing the opacity of each of the planets on different times. For example, the Mercury, I'm showing it or bringing it into the view for 2 seconds, starting at 0 time. The Venus, I'm doing it again for 2 seconds, but starting at 1 second, and so on. Another example that I was showing you was this YouTube application. I don't know if you noticed, if you go to any particular video page, the information does not come up on the screen immediately. You see, it is loading the video details, and then you see the information comes up slowly. Let me show that to you again in action. You see, it comes in bits and pieces. Again, something very, very simple to do. Let me see if I have the right one on the screen. Maui planets. So the same thing, no, not the planets, my mistake. Where did it go? Here it is. So if I go to the video details page, again, something very, very similar I'm doing. I'm playing with the opacity of each and every element at different times. Let me minimize everything. Okay. Another example I was showing you was this vocabulary app. I will not go through each and every videos or each and every animation effect, but you see over here, this play button, it is pulsating. I will show that to you in code, how it is done. And also these boxes are coming with animation. And the moment I type something, I key in something and I press enter, it shows up with animation. Let me show that to you, how it looks like in code. Very simple. If I go to my start page, oh, sorry, this is the stats page. If I go to the start page, see, I'm just playing with the border thicknesses and move and widths of these and opacities of these, as simple as that. Now, without taking much time, there are so many other things. I just want to show you one other example, which again, there is a video which I will link to towards the end. So let me show you an example of an animation menu. So let me run this application. Let me skip. Yeah. So you may want to show a menu like this. Very, very simple to do. I will link it in the descriptions at the end. So I know we are short of time. There are so many other things that we could have discussed, and these are just a few of them. By the way, if you want to dig deep and see all of this in action, I have a full series on this YouTube application that I was showing. In this series, I'm building a practical application using .NET MAUI, and most of these, the animations, the concept of the base pages or master pages, common controls, caching, etc. I'm doing it over there. If you are interested, you can check it out. These are the GitHub repos for the calculator app, for BMI calculator, scientific calculator, and so on. And then again for the rating control, etc. Now, that's it for this session. I hope you found